Oh, and I need to put us on gallery view. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Elevate Your Life with Dr. T. I'm Dr. T, and this is Erica Patino, one of my amazing clients who's graduated from our different emotional strength training programs that she's gone through. And I'm having her on with me today because she is one of the most incredible people that I have ever known. And she's one of my favorite people in the world. She has been just a total light in my life. And not only because of who she is, who you are, Erica, but because anybody that really commits to becoming the best version of themselves and really being committed to that and being coachable in that can achieve so many things. And Erica has achieved so much in our time together. And I just wanted to share with all of you Erica's wisdom because her wisdom is something that really adds a lot into my life. And we've been having just an incredible journey together that has transitioned also from Erica being a client of the Dr. Tracy Inc. company to being, she's a screenwriter, just so you all know. And she's writing a television series for us, for me, called The Emotional Scientist. And we're working on this project together. And so we get to have all these phenomenal conversations about living an elevated life and living out all of our great creations. And it just made sense to bring Erica on and have a great conversation and talk about what it is that she's doing to navigate through life, and especially during these challenging times. So Erica is also a super mom and just a total amazing wife and just one of the most conscious people that I've ever known. And just so you all know, one of her most important goals, the top goal when she came into being a client of mine, was to be the best mom that she could possibly be for her twin boys. And she has really knocked that one out of the park. She's really doing an amazing job. So Erica, welcome to the conversation today. It's great to have you with me.
Thank you, Dr. T. Thank you for all those nice things you said. And yeah, it's certainly been a wonderful journey working with you as well. And yeah, transitioning to our very exciting TV series that we're working on.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just smiling thinking about how exciting it is and how great it is to be creating something new together.
Yeah.
So Erica, let's dive in by just talking about how you are personally and professionally navigating through what's going on in the world. You and I both know that reactivity is one of the most infectious viruses that there is. And now we have this coronavirus situation and all that we see going on around us and all of those changes that are happening. How have you been moving through this?
I think, like you said, there is so much reactivity, and I think the key for me has just been to kind of try to distance myself from that. To realize that even though this is a time of uncertainty, it's not going to be forever, that this is just a time when, we actually have opportunities to do other things that we maybe don't have the time to do normally. As you said, I'm a mom. My twins are 19 months old, so they're too young to understand what's going on. But, even with that, my husband and I were just trying to keep everything like as normal as we can for them, because I think it's important not to get sucked up into that collective, panic or despair or whatever, but just to say like, what are my outcomes here? I still want to have a life that's meaningful and joyful, and maybe I'm just going to have to go about it in a little bit of a different way for a little while,
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So what I'm hearing, right, is this intentional quality, right? Recognizing the reactivity, global reactivity has been at an all-time high. And
Yeah.
this very, something that none of us in our lifetime have ever experienced, especially through all of this interconnectivity that we have through the internet. And so when you're talking about distancing from it, I'm hearing you say that, while there's all this social distancing going on, you've been making a point to not jump into the reactive trenches.
Yeah.
And so how do you go about that, Erica? How do you go about distancing from the emotional reactivity that's going on?
Yeah, I think a couple things. First of all, I don't check the news obsessively. I will check, in the morning when I'm eating breakfast for a couple minutes, but after that, I just put it aside for the day. It's nothing really drastic is gonna change, in the meantime. Like I live in Oregon, and so we have a shelter in place order, and so that's still going to be the same for now, and so I can just kind of carry on and not really worry too much about all the developments, I guess. And then also I just I have a self-care routine already, just as a mom of twins. Who are in the toddler stage. I have to take care of myself, and I I know how to do that now, but a lot better since going through the emotional intelligence training. I can check in with myself a lot faster, I guess, and think, what do I need? And so for me, I exercise every day, and it doesn't always happen at the same time. Like, it's just my schedule is not really that predictable with twins, but I know that at some point during the day I will be able to find the time, because that's one of my intentions. And so sometimes it's early in the morning, sometimes it's when they're napping. It just varies.
And
But I
Erica,
get it done.
actually, I realized I would love to sort of get this. Yeah, let's look at the self-care routine more in depth, or really what your intentional routine is, which I know can vary from day to day, but has some
Yeah.
similarities. What are those things that are intentional and those priorities for you, and how are you making sure that you carry those out each day?
Well, so in addition to exercise, I find meditation really helpful. And so I do 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the afternoon. And I do it when the twins are napping. And I'm soon going to be trying to transition them down just to one nap. So I know I'm going to have to change my meditation routine too. But the good thing is I know all of this is flexible. I know that if it's a priority for me, I will find a way to fit it in. Nice. So exercise, 2 brief meditations, and then for me, connection to family and friends is really important. Feeling that support and that love, and just connection to other people. So during this time, it kind of varies, but I've been catching up with friends that I maybe haven't caught up with in a while, which has been nice. I've done some happy hours on WhatsApp. and yeah, just phone calls, emails, text, all of that. So those are the main things for me.
So Erica, what I'm hearing is that so for your infrastructure for your life, which you've been developing and refining, and this is a focus for you every day, there's a set of priorities that are non-negotiable for you, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
these are your intentions, and those are things that this is very different than a reactive status of life, where life is much more you wake up and whatever it is that you start reacting to starts to take you through whatever kind of day. And before you know it, you've lived a reactive experience and you don't feel accomplished and you feel like something else was in charge of you, right? Which is typically people's emotions. This is
Yeah.
very different to be intentional in a way that creates an infrastructure. It's its own format. These are my intentions and this is happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so in your infrastructure, right, and within everybody's infrastructure, it gets to be unique to them, but intentionality works, everyone, by truly having that be a focus that serves you and supports all of your outcomes. So Erica, it sounds like you, each day when you get up, you are going to accomplish those intentions, and then you're moving through an intentional process throughout each day where you're making sure that these different things happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I am. And I feel like when you have those intentions and you're really clear on them, life will actually kind of show you where those spots are, like even on the most hectic days I've had with the twins, like I've still been able to find the time to meditate and to exercise,
Erica,
and
you just said something that is critically important for everyone. When you have intentions, life organizes for you that way.
yeah.
Right. This is the power, everyone. This is how physics works, right? We're all physical matter, and everything that we intend, everything that we think, creates outcomes, right? It's like if somebody wanted to make a skyscraper, they're like, this is what I want, and this is what they want it to look like. And then they go through a process of mapping that out and creating that, and all of those pieces that come together. It all comes from our intentionality. And it's not much more complicated than that, but people don't have a lot of experience at times being in a completely intentional process with themselves. So Erica, what you're saying here, it's very, very important to understand for everyone. When you are constantly focused on your intentions as a way of being, rather than your reactions, then life organizes everything for you to be able to do those intentions. And Erica, your example is like, then there's a time, like all of a sudden there's the ability, it's like perfect. There's the ability to do my exercise or to do whatever
Mm-hmm.
these items are. And for everyone to know, that's the way it is for everything.
Yeah.
Everything gets revealed to you, whether it's about a job or whatever it is. When you are in that intentional state all the time and you keep putting your focus on your intentions, life will serve to you the ability to fulfill them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very powerful, Erica.
Mm-hmm.
So Erica, how about the meditation piece for you? I want to touch base on that again.
Yeah.
Walk us through what is so powerful about that for you, and what that does for you, and whatever your process that you move through. Share with us how that works for you.
Yeah. So, well, I do two different kinds of meditation. In the morning, I use a meditation app to do like a guided meditation. The one I use is Calm. I think Headspace is probably about the same.
Yeah.
So I like being guided through a meditation, but then in the afternoon, I don't do any kind of guided one. I just set a timer for 10 minutes and I just breathe. And
Nice.
I know that having like a shorter inhale and a longer exhale is very calming to the central nervous system. And so that's what I do because I just feel like I actually feel like I'm on vacation. Like that's how relaxed I feel, even though it's only 10 minutes,
Well, Erica, I love this because what you're on vacation from is the stress that is in our environment.
Yeah.
Right. So we know also that through the emotional training process, where you shift from being in a reactive state to living in an intentional one, we know that that's a really awesome way to vacate being in a reactive existence, right? In a reactive environment. And when you go and when you do all these different things that are really, these are really emotional processes that you're doing, right? They're intentional emotional processes. You do feel like, you're going to a whole nother level of vacating what it is that typically is going on in the environment around us, which can then impact our own internal environment as well.
Yeah. And I feel like meditation, then, of course, it's in the moment when you're doing it, but then I feel like even afterwards, I have a greater ability to kind of remove myself from what's happening, the reactivity of things around me, and things just don't rattle me as much, because you have more of that distance, I guess.
Well, it makes perfect sense, because if people just exist in reactivity all day, every day, right, which we know in this wonderful, phenomenal age of technology, we know that part of that, my premise that I'll just state in what I see, is that now people's phones have created a reactive quality to life. And they say they're addicted, but they're really conditioned to be chronically reacting. And then when you're chronically reacting, then you're reactive in everything. It's not like, it doesn't work like this, everyone, where you're reacting to your phone all the time, but then you're not going to be reactive to your partner. Like, it doesn't work like that. Being reactive is a way of being. Being reactive. Sorry, something is going on with my computer here. Update in progress. It is, right? An update is in progress. So the quality of just reacting, and not having any pause from that to shift that means that people tend to feel horrible and awful. They have anxiety, they're overstimulated. Then they react all the way into relapsing and self-medicating and being frustrated, everything. And when you spend some time essentially pausing on that reactivity and being in an intentional state, like you can do in meditation, where you keep bringing your focus, to something specific, like your breathing or whatever it is anybody wants to focus on, you truly are training your own being to not be in such a reactive process all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So then what you're saying is, then after that, it makes sense that you feel even less reactive than you would from, if you just gone all day and not given yourself that essentially what is a vacation from reactivity, but it's also a training.
It is a training, and I find that, like, I actually look forward to it, like I had tried for years and years to start meditating, and I do it for a couple weeks and then I like fall off the wagon, and I don't know, I couldn't get it to stick, but I just, becoming a parent, especially becoming a parent to two human beings overnight, I was like, I need to up my game here. I need to start like living more intentionally, and I need to do things that I know are going to support me.
Yeah.
Well,
this is one of the reasons, Erica, as we talk to people and do consultations for people to come into any one of our emotional training programs, it was one of the most incredible days of my life when I first talked to you and first met you, because the mission at our company, right, is to elevate people's emotional capacity so that they can live their potential, and most importantly, also that their families can live out their potential. Yeah. And Erica, when you said to me, I mean, it's burned into my psyche, because it was so profound for me, because it's what I wanted coming out of a childhood with a highly, highly reactive parent.
Mm-hmm.
and all that that created in my life and in my family. To have you say, you know, as you were pregnant, right, and
Yeah.
as the mother of these two babies, it is absolutely my intention to give them the best mother possible, to give them the best emotional environment possible. And you also said, I'm not here to go on this treacherous mommy journey that everybody's
Yeah.
on, and all of the pain and struggle and frustration and exhaustion that goes along with something that's supposed to be this wonderful thing. And so that was such a game changer. I mean, first of all, it's a vision come true. And I love that every time I'm, you know, as I see my vision for the world and for how people can be, you claiming that, you know, I'm like, oh yes, we're making that happen together. And, you know, we thought about your kids and what it is that you wanted to create for them.
Yeah.
And, you know, we know that all parents want this, but unfortunately, what happens is you have all this good stuff, all this love, and then you have all this struggle. And so what happens is that kids sync up with that combination. They sync up with the love and the struggle, and then they carry that love and struggle forward
Mm-hmm.
in their life. And this ability to make these emotional changes in yourself, uh to in order to have your boys sync up with your emotional capacity, you know, to me is just one of the greatest things that a human being can ever do for their children. And I
Yeah.
really just want to acknowledge you in that, because this has been a very important commitment that you have put yourself to.
Yeah, it is. It is. And yeah, so like you said, I'm not just doing this for me. I'm doing it for my children especially, and my husband too. And it's very powerful motivation for sure.
It is.
Yeah. And
It
the thing too with children is they are blank slates, you know, they are so
is.
innocent, and it's fascinating to watch them like absorb people's energy, their mannerisms, of course the things they say, like, and just to realize, yeah, how much people can be molded and shaped, you know, that we are not fixed into these broken patterns where we're just always going to be broken and nothing's going to change. Like, human beings are very malleable, and we are capable of wonderful things, and, you know, creating really healthy, positive lives for ourselves, you know, and for those around us.
I love this, Erica. I mean, this is what the premise of my entire life is. And it
Yeah.
also, good news, everybody, this is physics, right? Something that has momentum. If we just think about it, you know, the way it works, that if whatever has momentum, like say multi-generational struggles, right? Emotional struggles, and we keep repeating them, and now we're all so interconnected with each other, we're absorbing each other's stuff, we're all syncing up with each other like never before because of the power of the internet and
Mhm.
all that it's provided. So we're all syncing up with each other. And, you know, with all of that said, it's like, that means it's even more important for us to recognize that we literally can change everything, and we can change the world by the way that we change our emotional patterns. And
Mhm.
when we change our emotional patterns, now in all this matrix that we're all linked up in, we're adding something super
Yeah.
productive and positive that reshapes all the emotional patterns of what's going on in the world. Not differently than the parallel to that is in your family system, things that have all this momentum, like everybody had depression, everybody has anxiety, whatever these things are, addiction.
Mhm.
The cool thing is that when something is has momentum and you interrupt it and you start to reshape it, right? I think this goes like this: something like an object in motion stays in motion,
Yeah. Yeah.
until another force acts upon it, or something to that degree. Um, and we can interrupt that. We can intervene on our emotional reaction patterns and start to reshape them. And what we do here at Dr. Tracy Inc. and Erica has been doing with us with us as a client and putting it into her life is that we just keep reshaping reactions into intentions so that your intentions have all the momentum. And then here's the thing, everyone. The only thing that then, if intentions have momentum, then they will continue on unless they're interrupted by a force, which is typically reactivity. Right.
Yeah.
So the good news is it works both ways. And when you're intentional, when you reshape things through emotional training, to be intentional, you literally can reshape your entire self, your entire life, your whole family trajectory. And absolutely, Erica, I mean, things are very, very malleable. And it means no matter where somebody's been, what they've gone through, what's happened. What else would you say about that, Erica, about that concept? This is a really important one for people to know.
Well, I would say that like I can only speak from my personal experience, but throughout my life, the way that has manifested has been mostly that reactivity has manifested mostly through anxiety. And going through your training, I started to understand that anxiety is really more about unmet needs, like it's you trying to tell yourself something like, this needs to be addressed. And if you can cut out the noise of all of the anxiety and get down to like, what is it that, my internal navigation system is telling me, the anxiety actually goes away. Like that's what I found. It's like there are some deep-seated things that I needed to work on, and I mean everybody has those,
Yeah, evolution of yourself.
Yeah, and once I started to really look at that, it actually wasn't even that scary. It was more like, oh, okay, yeah, and yeah, then you just start to address those things, and I just felt like a lot more anchored in life. I wasn't just being pinged around like, oh, now this is stressful and this is stressful and I don't know what to do about this. Like, it's just all that noise kind of settles down.
I love that too, because, we, in what we do, we really help people understand not just the reactivity that they're aware of, because everybody kind of thinks they understand what it is. Like when you're super frustrated, you go, oh, I'm reacting.
Yeah.
Right. But basically people are living in mostly a reactive process without realizing it. And there are hundreds, if not thousands, of hidden reaction patterns where you're like, oh, I was meant to do this and I ended up over here. Or it could be doing something that you think is super responsible, but it's much more of a self-sabotaging reaction process.
Right.
And it's all of this stuff that people are not aware of, that when you're getting ping-ponged around in the pinball machine, right, you can't really see completely what it is that's going on. And when we help you really connect to your own self and that navigation system, and it's clearing the reactivity away, there's this amazing process that's just directing you and guiding you forward. And that process, is set there, is in place for everybody to know where to go next and what to do. And the answers are there when you ask it, when you connect to it and ask it, ask yourself the question, what's my intention? What's my outcome? And it's a really beautiful process that is very simple. And Erica, I thank you for sharing that the anxiety can go away, because, what would you say to people that believe and have been convinced that anxiety is this eternal thing that they're just going to have to deal with?
I would say, don't believe that. I would say, like we've been talking about, you're actually a lot more malleable than you may think. You know, it's okay to have anxiety. There's nothing wrong with you, but you just need to start learning how to check in, to really not check in, like really connect to your navigation system, you know, and start working on the things that are causing that anxiety. The anxiety is not the problem, I guess. You know, it's not, like, and you can try to, you know, obviously you should be like trying to manage it, but like there's this whole deeper meaning underneath that, I guess I would say. And
very true.
And so it's like it's not, I guess I always had thought of anxiety as a negative thing, because, you know, we're like socially conditioned to think that. But yeah, once I realized it was just myself out of alignment, trying to tell myself, hey, pay attention to this, I was like, it's actually trying to help me, you know. Beautiful. It's not negative per se, because it's just kind of like your system alert or something.
Erica, so cool. I mean, this is this is what I live to talk about, because it's so powerful. And we both know, right, that building a relationship with yourself allows you to utilize all that's going on and be in a place where you're watching over your own self, rather than at the effect of what is going on and believing all kinds of things that are not necessarily true, but they feel true, right? They feel very real. And the mechanics that we teach people, our emotional training techniques and mechanics about how to do this, are really, really powerful in helping people to know the exact steps and methodology for connecting with yourself. And also, when that's happening, to do that in the middle of where you might feel the worst, right? The most disconnected from yourself, so that you have all of the emotional infrastructure that you need to navigate through life in a really incredibly enjoyable way. And so, Erica, how about for you? You know, I know for those of us that have come very far in our journey of living in a elevated, non-reactive state, where if a reaction surfaces, you know, in a millisecond, we've made a shift. And so it's interesting to try to put ourselves back somewhere. So at the same time, what's your sense of how you might have handled this situation if you hadn't done emotional training, and how having done that and having truly transformed your emotional constitution, the difference between those things?
I think if I had not gone through your training, this definitely would be a more stressful time. I think I would be reacting a lot more. You know, I'm sure the twins would be picking up on that kind of stressful energy. My husband and I would probably, you know, be arguing more. And I think it just would be a really, like, unenjoyable time, basically. And I'm not saying like I enjoy, you know, shelter in place, but I know, again, I know why we're doing it. I know it's for the health and wellness of us and those around us, and so I can connect to that outcome, and I can say, okay, you know, I'm gonna find ways to still flourish and do things that I enjoy in these temporary parameters that I've been given. And, you know, and for my twins too, because obviously toddlers do not understand, you know, social distancing and shelter in place, and they don't understand why, you know, grandma and grandpa aren't coming over. And so but they are very adaptable too. You know, they have discovered all sorts of cool things in the backyard, and we've been coloring and just, you know, we're finding ways to enjoy our time together, I would say. And yeah, and so I would say that that is the difference, having gone through emotional strength training, is that I just feel like very intentional about this time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
that
it's the quality of what, and this is what we want in any moment of our life, right? Because the world has always got all kinds of stuff going on. Plenty of reactivity existed before. Unfortunately, it will exist after this more concentrated time frame. And we're ultimately living in a reactive society, right? And so
mhm.
this is going on all the time anyway. And so what you're talking about is that sense that instead of the environment dictating you and your experience, especially the way we just feel in our own self and our own body, that things can be going on in the external environment. And as an emotionally sensitive person, a really brilliant creative artist that you are, Erica, as a writer, and just as a creative in general, that you're not, the difference is that your own internal environment and the environment you can create in you're creating in your own home does not need to reflect the stress and reactivity of the larger global environment that we're always, technically all of us are pretty interconnected into through some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like, you know, even during normal times, you kind of, you know, you can pick up on a family's dynamic as soon as you walk in the door. You know, you can tell, like, oh, things here are pretty calm, and, you know, it's nice. And then sometimes it's not that way.
Chaos.
It's chaotic, or people are unhappy, or it's just, yeah. And so it's not as fixed as you might believe. Like, you can you can change to make it, you know, the outcome that you would like it to be.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely, Erica. One last thing is, you know, there are so many people that have struggled so much, and they've tried lots of things, and they're always trying, and they feel very disappointed, and they have a lot of experience in struggling, especially the most emotionally sensitive people who are so
Yeah.
brilliant, and we need them to feel okay. And they also don't necessarily have a reference point in their whole life for being able to feel very, very emotionally strong and empowered and reactivity free and anxiety free. And so it's really hard for people to believe that this is possible, right? Because things appear much more complicated than they are. And this is why, you know, this is why I made this the most simplest method
Yes.
possible
Right.
that can be have application in every part of your life. But I've been really thinking about that a lot, that's a struggle for people, that they don't have that reference point and it doesn't feel real to them. I had somebody on the phone the other day say, I can't even believe I could be non-reactive. So what would you say about that?
I would say that it's understandable to feel that way when you've had a lifetime of being reactive and probably not knowing anybody who, you know, was not reactive.
Yeah.
You know, when it's not modeled for you, it's probably really hard to believe that it's possible. But I would say that, first of all, it is possible. Absolutely possible. I come from a family of not people who are really reactive, I would say, but definitely emotionally sensitive. And so I just kind of thought, like, well, anxiety is just kind of part for the course, and that's just how things are going to be, and I'm going to have to manage it, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, I don't really feel that way anymore, because the thing is, like, when you go through the emotional intelligence training, you can start to shape the kind of life that you want. You know, if you don't want anxiety, you don't have to have it. You know, you can
Optional.
yeah, it is. It's you can get, and it's not that you won't still have the same challenges in life. You will. You'll have the same challenges. However, the way you approach them will be completely different. What Dr. T teaches is a mindset. A mindset is a lot more powerful than somebody just saying like, oh, okay, here's how I think you should fix this problem.
Yeah.
That is helpful, but then you're gonna have another problem, you know?
Yeah.
And then you have to keep running back and being like, what do I do now? What do I do now? And that is, I think, kind of like the basis for a lot of therapy, and why so many people go through therapy for years and years, and maybe they'll make incremental progress, but it's not really substantial. And but when you learn a mindset of, you know, learning how to be an emotional adult,
Yeah.
you know, learning how to approach problems, learning how to, you know, in a positive way, learning how to create the intentions that you want and really be in tune with yourself, like your life is going to be completely different. It's going to be so much better, and you're just going to feel a lot more at peace. And so what I would say is, to people who don't think it's possible, I would say you really, you know, if you've tried so many other things and they haven't worked, you have nothing to lose. Like,
Yeah.
you know, have a lot to gain,
You have a
lots and
lot to
lots to
gain.
gain. So, you know, give it a shot and give it all you have. And I think you will be very pleasantly surprised with the results.
Erica, this is why I love having these conversations, because just everyone to know, my amazing clients who then become my awesome colleagues and collaborators on awesome new things in life, they say it better than I could ever say it. And yet at the same time, to know that at the Dr. Tracy Inc. company, and with all of our services and emotional training programs, that is our 100% goal, is that you become capable. Erica's talking about a mindset. It's mindset, this framework, which is we call it the method, this framework that allows you to move through all of life in a way that again brings ease and peace and wonderful outcomes in the journey of being a human being, so that there's just this cumulative effect of that, so that whatever comes up, you just actually keep growing in your ability to navigate through it that much more strongly and effectively, so that ultimately you are your own coach, you are your own therapist, you are your own advisor, walking yourself through everything. And that's absolutely my vision for everybody, so that they can focus on all of the other things
Yes.
that they're here to do, instead of a life that is devoted to the solving of this emotional sensitivity and reactivity and anxiety. We need you all in the position, the emotional position, to bring all of your awesome gifts to the world and your contributions, and to give all of that attention to the people that you love and care about, especially yourself first as the foundation. And so if this is something that feels intuitive to you, and maybe you might have been scared along the way to dip your toe in, you can start by taking our emotional sensitivity assessment, and just check out what the report, when we give it, check out what your emotional sensitivity assessment is telling you, because we send you a report that gives you a sense of exactly your type of emotional sensitivity, and then what are some things that you can do about it to make those changes. So you can go to our website at drtracyinc.com, start with the emotional sensitivity test, and just move in the direction toward a life of epic emotional strength and creativity. All right, everyone. So Erica, thanks for being with me today and having this conversation. And everybody,
Yeah.
thanks for tuning in. And so and for all of you, we'll see you soon, and keep sending in your questions. And I definitely am committed to keep answering them and providing support, especially during this time. Take care.